So thank you for your kind presentation. In this presentation, I will explain how the magnetic nanoparticles can apply it in different applications and how they can contribute to solving, especially in water purification. This is my outlines in which I will explain, demonstrate it, how I synthesize this material and how I applied it. Sorry. So firstly, my material called metal organic frameworks. This is a type of material that you can functionalize it depending your application. I mean that you can use a composite of metal ions or cluster coordinated two organic ligands and forming one or two or three dimensional structure. Yeah. So firstly, how I synthesize this material. The principal step of this is a chemical reaction between 2-methyl acetate and nickel imidazole. So I synthesize in specific condition, and I also dried this material in a specific condition under temperature 95 to give me this amorphous yellow color. And after that, I carbonized it in different carbonization temperature from 400 to 1000. And after that, I tried to investigate the rule of the carbonization temperature on my material, beginning with X-ray diffraction. So I collected all of these patterns from the 10 samples, and I began to investigate how with the pieces that I present in my material. Firstly is nickel. I found that all of the sample enhanced nickel efficiency phase, but almost of them have nickel HCV, and then I found that at lower carbonization temperature, we have nickel carbide. So regarding to the lower carbonization temperature and higher carbonization temperature, we found that at higher carbonization temperature, the peaks are more sharper, and there are different peaks that are disappearing with raising the carbonization temperature. By using the Redville method, I can fitting these different peaks. And I can calculate some parameter, for example, the percentage of the pieces that present in each sample. I found that at regarding to the diameter, these samples divided into groups. The lower carbonization temperature from 400 to 600, the crystalline diameter lower than 10 nanometer, and the higher carbonization temperature from 800 to 1000. The crystalline diameter more than 14 nanometer. In the middle, there are a sample in between the lower and the higher carbonization temperature. It's more than 10 and lower than 20 nanometer. The percentage that I found at the carbon of the phases that present in different carbonization temperature, I found that nickel HCB decreasing respecting to the percentage of the nickel efficiency. So going to the TEM microscope, I tried to collect different micrographs for knowing how is the morphology of the nanoparticles. I found that it's very clearly the growing of the nanoparticle in lower carbon, in increasing the carbonization temperature. And also I found that there are amorphous carbon in the background. So what is exactly the morphology of this nanoparticle? So I going to the individual nanoparticles and I study, sorry, I forget this slide. This is here I after I collecting the images of the transmission electron microscope, I plot the histogram by using log normal, and I calculated the mean diameter of this nanoparticle I found that at lower carbonization from 7 to 10, and at higher carbonization, the mean diameter increasing till a range to 50 nanometer at 1000. Going to the individual nanoparticles, I tried to study in the interplanar distance in the individual nanoparticles at lower carbonization temperature. I found that I have the morphology of artichoke-like. This meaning that I have practice of different nickel phases, nickel FCC and nickel HCV, and nickel carbide FCC and nickel carbide homohedral. All of these different phases or coexisting of these different phases surrounded by graphite, 7 to 10 graphite carbon. By raising the carbonization temperature, found that these different phases or unstable different phases of this nickel transformed to completely core nickel FCC and surrounded by nickel FCC. As we see here, is a core of nickel FCC surrounded by 7 to 10 the same graphite layers of graphite. And in the background, we have the tribostatic carbon. So magnetic measurements, as we see here, that at lower carbonization temperature, we have lower saturation magnetization. Is due to the different, these samples of lower carbonization temperature is 400. If the sample that we already have, the higher percentage of antiferromagnetic phases. And when we are increasing the carbonization temperature, we found that these antiferromagnetic phases or non-magnetic phases transformed to FCC is magnetic phases, ferromagnetic phases. As we see here in the table, in 100 we are nearly to the pure nickel FCC. So how can, respecting this investigation, apply this material in day-to-day application? So we searching best matching application, we found that water purification due to the pores, the carbon or turbostratic carbon that we have in the background or amorphous carbon that we have. So we try to select two different samples, one of lower carbonization temperature that we have smaller nanoparticles, smaller of the diameter nanoparticle, and we also change it to one of the samples that have higher carbonization temperature that, as we see here, have higher diameter. Also, we tried to changing the contaminated. We selected methylene blue is an organic aromatic dye, and also an heavy metal like chromium 6. And we tried to investigate or begin with the experimental of adsorption application. So in this important parameter, there are different parameters for making this application or this experimental, like the pH, the time that we will have for the saturation, and also the concentration of the contaminant that the material can saturate it with it. In my regard or my material, I found that pH is the best adsorption capacity of my material. And also I found that the hour of saturation, the contaminated with the magnetic nanoparticle is 1 hour. And also the initial concentration, we try to differentiate the concentration of the contaminant to have the higher or the maximum adsorption capacity. After the fitting the two experimental data with different models, we found that the maximum adsorption capacity for methylene blue is 500 milligram of the contaminant of a methylene blue per 1 gram of the nanoparticle. And for the inorganic compound like heavy metal chromium, we can find the maximum adsorption value is 63 milligram of the contaminated per 1 gram of the nanoparticles. So I mean here we have the organic dye, a good or comparing with different literatures, we have a very good results, and also inorganic compounds we have very good comparing with the different literature. So the idea of our material that we synthesize material that have carbon amorphous and also is magnetic, that we can separate it very easily without filtering and without using a different process. And also we can find that the graphite layer can protect a nickel from any oxidation. And thank you for your attention. I want to thank my teamwork, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for your talk. Any questions? You can just ask them turning on your microphone or type them in the chat.
I can hear anyone. I can hear. Oh, did you hear him?
I'm not seeing any questions right now, so I will ask you something about the difference between the two types of contamination of water. So you show that for one type with heavy metal contaminants, the nanoparticles treated at different temperatures perform the same, while with the organic contaminants, no. I didn't get exactly why is the reason. Why do one of them perform better with organic contaminants? Is it
The two
matter of morphology or size of the particles? Because if it was just the size, I would expect to be the same also with the heavy metals.
Yeah, here you are speaking about with the nanoparticles, so that at lower carbonization temperature we have smaller. Well, when you having this application, the first thing that you want to search about it, that you have area superficial area, a lot more or less very good, and also you are searching about the porosity for absorbing the material. So here, as you see here, that 650, the lower carbonization temperature, we have a bit that is area superficial, is a little bit more or the double of higher carbonization temperature. So the K here is the superficial area. So
okay, but then why is not the same also for chromium 6? Like if in that case the two type of particles perform the same. I think in the second graph on the right here.
You are speaking about the different contaminated that we used. Why we don't have a chromium like methylene blue, no?
Exactly, like if it's just the size of the particle, I would have expected to be the same for the two contaminants.
Well, here we have a methylene blue is the organic material. So the affinity between organic material and also my material is organic material, is nickel carbide surrounded by carbon. So it is organic material, and also methylene blue is a dye of aromatic material. So there are affinity between the two moiety of two aromatic material. It facilitates overlapping the two aromatic materials, so it is very facile to overlapping. So it's very also easy to absorb this aromatic material for another aromatic material.
Okay, so it's almost like the nanoparticle here matters less than.
No, actually in this the idea here in the magnetic nanoparticle that it facilitates the separation magnetically, that we can separate it. But the key here is the carbon, because the carbon is who is absorbed due to the porosity that it already had, and also the area of porosity not is related to nickel, it's related to the graphite layer and tribostratic carbon. So the idea here that is an application that I had due to the graphite and the tribostratic carbon, but nickel just it helps me that I can after the adsorbing the material or the contaminated, I can separate it with the nickel and the carbon magnetically. So it is the idea of magnetic with carbon.
I see, okay. There is one more question quickly in the chat that I don't know if you can see it. Maria is asking if there is a way to predict the most interesting or efficient phases or crystalline structures of nickel nanoparticles for water purification, or is it pollutant dependent?
Is there a way to predict the most interesting? We predicted the most interesting phases crystalline structure. I can't understand here the question actually. What do you want to see? I can't catch here.
Oh, so I guess I can elaborate. My question is, since you've presented a few different crystalline structures for your synthesized materials, I was wondering if there was a certain type of crystalline structure that you found more efficient for water purification.
Actually, no. For the crystalline facet that I found, it is not affect in my application. As I told here now, the only thing that I found or facilitate my work that in this magnetic nickel is just separating magnetically, because there are a lot of problems in this. If I used just carbon, because the carbon is I should to separate after the contamination of the after the adsorption experimental with filtration. So it will take a lot of times, and sometimes it participate the amorphous carbon and a lot of things that it could be done, especially the density of carbon is very small, so it could be still in the vessel of my experimental. So the idea here that with magnetic in outside the vessel that I used after the adsorption experimental, I can just put a magnet in the outside of the vessel, and it can absorb all of this material with the contaminated. So,
okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. We are slightly out of time, so let's thank the speaker again and move to the next.